Close to 50 years ago, the Frito-Lay's company produced a commercial that offended the Mexican-American community. The company produced a commercial that featured a cartoon character, Frito Bandito, a pot-bellied Mexican who wore a sombrero, sported a bar mustache, and robbed people for their corn chips at gunpoint. Soon, other companies were using their Bandito characters in commercials to sell everything from cars, watches, and cigarettes. At the time, a newly formed group, the National Mexican-American Anti-Defamation Committee, challenged the industry not to air the racist ad. Eventually, the broadcast industry relented. But the fight against Frito Bandito created greater awareness among Latino activists that in order to improve the image and representation of Latinos in the media, they needed to make their voices heard in Washington. Nearly a decade ago, Alex Nogales made a similar determination. While NHMC spent decades fighting to increase the presence and influence of Latinos on television and films, he understood that more needed to be done. More was needed to be done because of the harm caused to our community when we're portrayed as a threat to society, some invading force that will result in the demise of our country. And this message is often delivered by messengers who spew hate speech in order to incite the population rather than to inform it. Meanwhile, the message is carried by media companies who too often allow ratings to trump the well-being of our community. NHMC understood more was needed to be done because we needed policies that created a more just media system rather than a system that harms us. So Alex hired a staff in Washington in order to have expert policy advocates who ensured the voices of our community were being heard. I had the honor and privilege of working closely with NHMC over this past several years now. First with Alex and Inez Gonzalez, then with Jessica Gonzalez, and now with Michael Scarrato. But our circle of friends and allies fighting for a just media system for Latinos, Blacks, Asian American, and Asian American communities grew over the past 5 years as we collectively fought to protect an open internet by saving net neutrality. NHMC, along with the Center for Media Justice, Color of Change, Free Press, and many others, worked in coalition to protect net neutrality so our communities can speak up online and say yes to Black Lives Matter, yes to a humane immigration system, and no to deporting more than 2 million undocumented immigrants. NHMC played an indispensable role in this coalition by ensuring that activists of color were armed with the latest policy arguments so they can effectively advocate to their community and to lawmakers the critical importance of protecting an open internet. They also played a key role in ensuring that the FCC and Congress understood the position of the community and coalition members. This is why we need NHMC more now than ever. While we accomplish a lot of fighting for an open internet, much more needs to be done. In closing, I want to thank Free Press, my Free Press family, for allowing me to work in service of a just cause. And as a Latino, as a Puerto Rican, I can say from the bottom of my heart, thank you, NHMC. Thank you to Alex, Jessica, Michael, Andy, Brenda for your leadership, for representing the voices and fighting for the dignity of our community. Stuttering on that one, Alex. Sorry about that. He gave me some media training years ago, and not as smooth yet. I wasn't. You look the part. I don't kind of look the part. I'm like the bouncer you're talking about, right? So honestly, we really need you guys. Things haven't gotten better. Chris was saying, and I don't know how our community is going to fare if we don't have a just media system to be able to speak for ourselves. We don't own radio stations, we don't own television stations, we don't own cable networks. And I don't know how you fight when other people are telling your story and you have to try to convince other people to tell your stories, and when you tell it, they get it wrong. And this is why we need to, and I just don't know. We're 40% of the population, and I don't, Congresswoman Eshu was talking about democracy and communication. I don't know, I'm very fearful for our country if we're unable, as people of color, to control our own image, the dissemination of our own image. So we need to do more. We need NHMC, we need a lot more folks to continue to fight this fight, but work with you guys through the years and work with other groups, it's given me a lot of hope. The net neutrality fight gave us a lot of hope that we can actually win. So sometimes David wins. So with that, thank you, and I'm really honored by this award.